May I have time to read? I think I have time to read anyway, what I called a love story. So I'd like to end, I don't know what this is exactly. Well, let me read it. A love story. The highway I was walking on went through a marsh. There were no houses, nothing but the marsh. No one else was walking on the highway in the blazing sun. I saw the dog 100 feet away, a burly fellow, half chow, I thought, half German shepherd, shaggy hair plastered with mud. The dog saw me too and came running towards me. I walked on, afraid the dog would bite. I could hear the nails of his paws clicking on the pavement, but he passed me, never looked at me, and ran along as I walked, 10 or 20 feet ahead, 10 or 20 feet behind. I did not like his looks at all. The heavy brow, the square jaws, shaggy, dirty fellow. The road was as lonely as ever, marsh under the blazing sky, and the motor cars speeding past. I could see the pavement of a street on the other side and the bright blue sea. It would be cooler there, and I might be rid of the dog. The dog looked up after a while, saw me on the other side, and came towards me, straight through the traffic. I stood stock still, waiting for the dog to be hit. Sure enough, the second or third car struck him and sent him sprawling on his back, squealing. The brakes of the car screeched. The dog leaped to his feet, was knocked down again, and then came running towards me. "You dope," I said. But I was touched at his devotion. Now we went on side by side, the door close to me, and I no longer afraid. Now and then we came to a stairway leading to the beach. Below, other dogs were running about on the sand, and the dog was eager to go down. But he stopped, waiting for me at the head of each stairway, and as I went on, followed. The street turned at last, and we were back on the highway. Now I was afraid to cross, for fear the dog would be hit. He stood beside me, looking up at me, watching my hands and feet, ready to spring forward. At last there was a break in the traffic, only 2 cars coming. I could cross easily, go part of the way, let the cars pass, and then cross over. But I was afraid the dog would rush on and be hit. "No," I said to him, "no." And we walked along the edge of the highway without crossing. As the dog ran on beside me, sturdy and true, I thought of his lifted face, the deep brown eyes watching mine. Yes, I should like to keep him. Walking so together, we came to some houses. These were at the sea, cottages, refreshment stands, even a small merry-go-round. I stopped at a stand. "What should I get my dog to eat?" I asked the pleasant girl behind the counter. She smiled at me and leaned over the counter to smile at the dog as he stood beside me, wagging his tail. "Hamburger," she said. "Dogs love it." "All right. 1 or 2? 2. She took the fresh cakes out of the icebox and put them on a square of wax paper. I walked to the corner of the stand. The dog followed, and I put the meat down. The dog looked at it. His tail drooped, his eyes were glazed with fear, and he was off, as fast as he could go, bolting over the sand hills. Well, I could go on if I have a few minutes more. Shall I go on, Rand?